probably get started.
Okay. Roll call?
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Here.
Larry Gausted,
Here.
John Glasspool, Josh Gran,
Here.
Franklin Hahn,
Here.
Chase Munson,
Here.
and Eric Johnson.
Here.
I got one, I left it down there.
Oh, it's here? I don't see it.
Maybe.
Was that Frank? Where is it? Right here. Oh,
That's okay.
Old Country Seed.
Well,
Can you get yours back?
Well, there's one laying over here.
anyway. No, I got one.
I don't see it.
I can only write with one hand at a time.
Minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
That was Larry.
Right.
Larry second.
Larry.
Yes. All opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
So please take notice that an application has been made by GSS on behalf of Cloud One Service LLC and Jerry and Cindy Welke for a conditional use permit to build a telecommunication tower in the Ag Protection District in Hoka Township on the following premises. It's the fractional northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 103, Range 4 in Houston County. Said applicant standing and making application is as fee owner of said described lands and leaser of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6 p.m. on Thursday, November 20th. All persons having an interest in the matter may attend the hearing or submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed to zoning and must be received by Tuesday, November 11th to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and this was advertised on November 5th of 2025.
Okay, could the applicant come forward and say your name and the microphone, please?
Good evening, my name is Sean Hempstead. I am in here pinch hitting for Mike Huizenga, who actually developed the site for Cloud One. We are proposing a 250-foot self-support tower at 2239 Welke Drive. It will be in a, I believe, a 65 by 65 or 75 by 75 lease area with a 60 by 65 compound. The compound fence line will be 50 feet off the west property line and 65 feet off the center of the township road. The tower will be 80 feet off the west property line and 95 feet off of the center line of the township road, which I believe meets standards of township road.
Yep.
This is being put up to improve AT&T's coverage for both FirstNet and their public service for private citizens as well. AT&T is making a large commitment into the 6 counties in this general area, Olmsted, Fillmore, Winona, Houston, I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head. Building 62 sites, either relocating or building 62 new sites to improve the coverage. I call this area God's country because it's beautiful, it's terrain driven. We were talking about in the meeting before this, there's lots of valleys and bluffs, and it's beautiful, but it's an impossible thing to cover with radio frequency transmissions because RF travels in a straight line. So it's very important that we get these sites in the right place, and this location is a very good location, and we believe it will be a benefit to the community.
How big of an area sitting on top of the bluff that cover the valleys? Do you have a approximate guess?
I don't have a propagation map with me, but it would probably travel, there's 3 levels what I call coverage. One is in-building, then in-car, and then outside service. I'm not an RF engineer, but I've been in the industry 30 years, so I'm pretty good at guessing this. It would travel probably in-building coverage roughly 1 mile to 1.5 miles in all directions, and then probably another mile for in-car, and then probably another 1.5 to 2 miles for outside coverage. And it could be exceeding that. I'm trying to be conservative with that, but that's roughly what typically it is.
When you pick these sites, do you as a company pick the site, or does the landowner contact you first?
So how that works is the carrier, which AT&T in this particular situation, has a search area. They say, we'd really like a site in this general area, and they give us a ring. It can be anywhere from, I've had them as small as 1/10 of a mile in radius, so about 2/10 total circumference or diameter across, all the way up to a mile radius, which is 2 miles. Just depends on what they're trying to accomplish and what they can get out of the power they can feed to the antennas, the radios, and how far it travels. If I'm out in Nebraska where it's extremely flat, they may put a 250-foot to 300-foot tower up there, and it may travel a little bit further because they can turn the power up a little higher, and it shoots out in a straight line. It doesn't have to worry about it being shadowed by anything. But here, it's a little bit more particular. They have to be placed because you get shadowing from all the bluffs, and sometimes the valleys then don't get the coverage that they hope to get. In a perfect world, if it didn't cost just use the word buttload of money to build a cell site, they would put cell sites both up on bluffs and down in valleys. But unfortunately, it's very costly. Just kind of give everybody an idea of the cost to each carrier. But the 3 major carriers that are out there, which is AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, spent anywhere from $5 to $10 billion just to launch 5G over a few years. And that was with no capital or no extra revenue from that, because everybody already has a cell phone. There's no new service to get from it. They might steal from another customer, but at the same time, that client or that carrier is stealing some from them. So there's no new customer. So that's why they have to be very picky and very selective of where to put it, because they really want to maximize the dollars spent on these towers.
So from what I understand, from the previous ones we've permitted, your client, AT&T, wanted to put these up because their current leases on the towers that they are utilizing now are so expensive.
That is, yes, that is part of it. This one is being moved for 3 reasons. One is that. 2 is they found a better location that provides better radio frequency coverage for this general area, but it also plays nicer with the additional sites that we're putting up in general.
Okay,
But so the average rent right now in this project in this area for AT&T is $6,000 per site. And some of them are upwards of almost $13,000 per month. They can lease and have the site up for roughly $2,400, if not even less than that. So if you extrapolate that over 50 years, that's what the savings is to the company.
So this new tower will replace, I see in this map, there's 2 other towers that are down the road.
I was just gonna say, you said move, but you guys have a lease on this tower, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's on the other side.
Yep.
It's about 0.6 miles away.
Okay. By Peterson Drive.
Right, and we looked
Yeah.
at I do have a little bit closer pictures of the 2 towers that are there. This first one, the closer one, is owned by Dairyland Power. It was constructed in 2004. In 2004, they weren't really designing towers, especially Dairyland Power wasn't for the carrier communications that they were. Back in 2004, the carriers typically had either 3 Omni antennas or 3 single panel antennas that weighed approximately 25 pounds apiece. That would work on here. In today's network though, every antenna that they put up there is a 22-inch by 8-foot tall antenna that actually weighs over 100 pounds, or close to 100 pounds. And then they also put their radios up there today, which the radios weigh anywhere from 40 to 70 pounds. You might have 9 radios up there and 9 antennas. These towers just weren't. The tower steel may have been designed for that, I don't think so, but the guy anchors and the foundations were not
Yeah, I
designed.
can't support it.
And this one, just the height, they wouldn't have been able to get anywhere close to the height they want. This one just has so many antennas through there, it was really hard to depict what this one is. And I couldn't even find out who the true owner of this one was. It was listed kind of funny on the SEC database.
So where's that one at?
These are the two that are just right down the road. from-
Oh, okay,
They're
that's
both
the
of
ones
them.
you're referring to up
Yep.
here on.
And that one was, this one was constructed in '95, which scares me even more,
Yeah,
because that's really before the sailor industry really kicked off.
okay, all right.
And this tower that we're proposing will be designed, in today's world, they actually over-designed the foundations by 25%, for the fact that things change. We don't know what technology is gonna be in 20 years, right? So they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit and saying, we're gonna over-design it just in case. Or, they're over-designing, we're designing for 4 carriers to go on this tower. Maybe there's an opportunity for a 5th or a 6th carrier to come on top. They over-designed for that possibility as well.
The other ones you guys had proposed are guide towers. What determines,
This
Whether
one
you're the
was
one way or the other.
where we could put the tower safely. The footprint of a guide tower is a little bit bigger than a self-support, and the self-supports are more costly. But this was one where I don't know if it was just negotiated with the landowner, or if there was a construction issue that they decided to go with the self-support.
So this is a self-support, okay, there's no guide wires?
No guide wires. It's a 3-legged self-support tower.
All right. So what's gonna become of the one that can be on it?
There's still another carrier that would be on that tower. There is a carrier there today. It's not to seem, I can't say. It all depends. That other carrier is probably, I'm gonna be honest, is probably coming across the same situation. Their rents are probably unattainable. We hope that this will be a tower that they might be able to move to as well. I can't guarantee that though. That's kind of the hope with Cloud One. That's their business model. They not only want AT&T on there, but they want the T-Mobiles, the Verizons, and the wireless internet service providers, or WISPs, on there as well. That benefits them. It's self-serving, don't get me wrong, but it's just the way it is. American Tower, I believe, is the one that owns the tower down there. They've been in business a long time. I've dealt with them much. When I first got in the industry, I actually worked side by side with them. So I know them quite well. It's a good company. They just have old school mentality of the carrier rents, and they just don't understand. They're probably not gonna be around much longer because they don't understand that they have to lower the rents and some of the other entitlements that carriers.
So Amelia, do we have something, if a tower is no longer in use, that has to be dismantled, decommissioned?
no, I was just thinking that with that statement, we haven't been putting that as conditions on here, and I don't, of the ones that I've looked at, I don't believe they have anything like that.
Well, especially the ones that are old, I'm sure there's nothing on those.
Would it be advantageous for a company to, if it's not renting it, keep it though and pay the rent on it? Or that's a
They do,
lease setup?
in jurisdictions, to answer your question, and as you say, I work all over the country. Almost every jurisdiction I go to today does have a clause in their CUP statement that we have to provide a statement that if the tower is unused for 6 to 12 months, whatever, they have different requirements, that we have to sign a statement that we will remove the structure after 12 months of nobody being on the tower. As I said, the American Tower site today, I think, has 2 carriers on it, so there is another carrier on there.
I mean, as long as it's being utilized, that's fine.
Right. But I think it would be hard to enforce for them, but you could, I think, I can tell you honestly that Cloud One would have no problems with that being a CUP requirement for our
Condition.
condition for us.
Okay.
That is very standard.
Yeah, because you don't necessarily have to report when you pull your equipment off there. I permit new stuff, but I don't know when you,
So, people get by with, this is something that bothers me in the industry. Like I said, I've been in it a long time. honesty and being upfront is, and ethical to me is really critical, so I have to say this. A lot of towers are empty, but they don't look empty because the carrier may leave, they leave the antennas up there and maybe an empty shelter there to give the appearance that the tower's still being utilized, but in reality, it's not. It's hard to tell. Sometimes if the coax is gone, that's the only way you can really tell. Otherwise, if you see a tower that has no antennas on it, then odds are it's probably an empty tower that's nothing there.
Okay.
Would they still have to pay the landowner in that scenario? Like if they've been in the town?
Yeah, if they have a lease in place, leases in telecom are structured nationwide where it's basically 5-year terms. So usually there's a term, there's language in there that the tower owner can terminate basically with like, say, 3 months notice, 6 months notice. But they have to continue to pay the landlord as long as that tower is up and standing on their property, whether there's a carrier on there or not. But if they've given the landowner notice and they go to dismantle the tower, take it down, that's when the rent payments would typically stop.
So they might have an incentive, even if it's not a county thing, they might have an incentive to get rid of the tower, to get rid of the lease.
They might, a lot of times though, tower owners will go offer their landowner like a lump sum payment for a perpetual easement, kind of like what power companies have across, this great country. And sometimes people take them, and if they have a perpetual easement, then that incentive to take it down goes away. They can leave it up there with no additional cost other than power, taxes, because typically the tower owner will pay the improvement of the taxes on the property, things like that. So they have some financial responsibility, but.
Anybody else, any questions? I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on the matter? Well, we review the findings?
Make a motion to strike number 9 and number 13 in the findings.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There we go.
All right. So number 1, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Analysis states that Houston County's vision statement is to provide quality, essential, and affordable public services to the community, and the effect of having improved communication services is interwoven in reaching many of the supporting policies and goals outlined in the land use plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
So 2, that the applicant demonstrates a need for the proposed use. Analysis states that there are co-locatable structures in this vicinity, one of which the tenant currently leases from. The lease rates have made constructing their own tower more cost-effective, and the applicant felt the other towers were likely full or could not provide a comparable service.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis states that the applicant has identified that there are no long-term uses associated with this proposal that have the potential to degrade water quality. All topsoil removed during construction will be regraded and seeded upon completion to minimize erosion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis states that the applicant identifies that standard design for tower projects includes leveling of tower compounds and access drives, and there will be a 3,600 square foot gravel compound within the leased area, but the tower and ground components should not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
5, that soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis states that geotechnical reviews will be conducted before the foundation is designed, but the applicant does not believe soils will be prohibitive. NRCS has the soil classified as a silt loam, which is the predominant soil in the county, and there's nothing within the description to indicate there may be issues citing a structure.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
6, that the potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis states that pollution hazards should be limited and waste generation from construction and maintenance of items such as batteries, diesel fuel, or propane for generators and electronic waste will need to be disposed of properly.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried.
7, that the adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis states that an easement including both road access and utilities is part of the scope of this project, along with the extension of both underground electric and fiber optic lines.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Analysis states that outside of the initial construction, there will only be periodic check-ins at this location by tower maintenance staff, and there is space within the leased area for parking for maintenance employees.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
9 is not applicable, so 10, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for purposes already permitted. Analysis states that cell towers do create a visual impact, and this will be the 5th in that general location, but the Planning Commission may feel the benefit of improved and cost-effective communication outweighs the cost. And the landowner is the only permanent residence near the proposal, and this is a dead-end road, so there is limited traffic.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis states that this is a rural area of predominantly tillable land and associated farm dwellings, and this proposal will remove minimal land from production and should not impact adjacent landowners' ability to construct dwellings or otherwise develop and improve their land.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
So 12, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibrations so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Analysis states that this proposal will not include any offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, or vibration, and tower lighting will be in accordance with FAA regulations.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
13 is not applicable. So 14, that the intensity of any proposed commercial or industrial development is not greater than the intensity of the surrounding uses or not greater than the intensity characteristic of the applicable zoning district. Analysis states that this is considered a commercial use, but there are no density requirements for these proposals.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
So, is that something that we should consider as density requirements? In the future, I'm asking
Yeah.
you, all of you as a board.
Run that by again.
Do you think that's something, a requirement that we should require is for density? You know, like Fillmore County has that, right?
I would have to look, I'm not sure.
That would be a good idea.
Of how many towers can be located within an area or whatever.
Whether they be active or inactive.
Well, yeah,
Just
yeah.
permanent
doesn't matter.
towers.
Yeah. I'm
That-
just a question.
That would require a new zoning
Ordinance, correct.
ordinance.
Yep.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea because we could get overwhelmed with them.
Right.
The only thing I could think of, would you want them all in the same spot though?
Well,
That might
you
be
wouldn't
better
think,
off.
you wouldn't think so, but if you get different companies competing for the same spot. you
I'm
could-
just thinking if like from a visual standpoint, like this one, dead end road and whatnot, like might be better, put them all there.
Yeah.
Nobody else has to see them, you know?
But I was surprised, I shouldn't get off on this, but I was surprised that the coverage was only a mile to a mile and a half. So we're gonna have a lot of them close together if we're gonna cover these valleys.
And that's something you'd have to take into account if you're gonna look at density, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a thought, maybe something we could have Amelia, in her spare time, she could look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see what other counties do.
Yep. Okay, that's it.
Where were we on that?
See, I threw you off.
Did I read 15?
No, you read, that was 4. Yep.
So we start on, okay. So 15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis states that the FCC is responsible for setting and monitoring parameters on health and safety standards related to cellular telephone towers. An issuance of permits indicates that they believe those standards have been or will be met. And in addition, the proposer has cited the tower in a location that should have minimal or no impact on structures, public roads, and neighboring properties in the event of a collapse.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
I'll make a motion to accept the findings.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
So the proposed motion is to recommend to the county board approve a conditional use permit to build a telecommunication tower in the Ag Protection District with 2 conditions in Hoka Township. They're the standard: 1, the permittee shall comply with the federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and 2, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable rules, statutes, rules, and ordinances.
Do we want to have it's not in use for a year?
Decommission it
Just
for,
decommission? Or
decommission it,
6 months, year, or
a year's fine.
12 months is typical.
12 is fine?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so.
So tower shall be decommissioned if inactive for a period of 12 months.
12 months.
Yep.
A question on that, on how you see it elsewhere. I assume there's a lot of concrete into the ground to hold this thing up. Do you guys dig all that out?
No, I don't know what this contract, this landowner dictates. The industry standard is anywhere between 12 and 36 inches. That way, if it's in a farm field, at 36 inches, we always recommend that, so that they can farm and don't have to worry about their discs hitting the concrete. But some of these, like this 3-leg tower, might have 3 piers going down, depending on the geotech and how they do design the foundation. Those may go down between 34 and 50 feet. You do more destruction to the property trying to remove all that concrete.
It's
That's
buried.
So that's why they just take it down to a safe level typically.
Gotcha. Yep. I'll make a motion that with those 3 conditions, we recommend approval to the county board.
I'll second it.
Do we want a roll call, or is all in favor?
I can roll call it. Wayne,
Yeah.
Larry,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Josh,
Yep.
Franklin,
Aye.
Eric,
Yes.
and Chase.
Yes.
All right. Looks like this will go to the board on December 2nd then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Okay. I did make copies for you guys. You, since there weren't. So I forgot to throw those in the packet. Alright. So please take notice that a public hearing pursuant to Minnesota Statutes 394.26 will be held in the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:20 p.m. on Thursday, November 20th of 2025. The Planning Commission will discuss a final draft of the proposed ordinance regulating commercial solar and related comprehensive land use plan amendments in Houston County. All persons having an interest in the matter are invited to attend the hearing or submit comments, and comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department on 304 Marshall Street in Caledonia, or emailed to the zoning office. It must be received by Tuesday, November 11th of 2025, to be included for review prior to the hearing. All comments are considered public record, and copies of the proposed ordinance will be available for viewing online under ordinances on the zoning page, and hard copies can be requested from the zoning office in Caledonia. This was advertised on November 5th of 2025. So, let me grab. I did get some comments from the Soil and Water District, so I'll run through those quick, because I thought they had been included in here and I didn't have them. So I guess I just, kind of starting at the beginning, under roof-mounted SES, which is number 1, I did realize after looking at that again, under A, that I have roof-mounted SES are designed to supply energy for primary use and are permitted accessory uses in all districts, but I was going to remove I don't think these need to be permitted, so we can strike and are permitted accessory uses in all districts. If that makes sense to everyone?
Could you strike that from the?
Yeah, since they do not require a building permit.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Oh, I didn't.
Wayne was.
Did you say something, Wayne?
You want to get a permit for my roof on the house?
Nope, you don't need a permit for anything on the roof.
You don't need a permit. Okay, I'll go along with that.
Under large SES, we had talked last time, there was some copies that said 20 and some that 25, but it sounded like 25 was the general consensus. So that is at 25. I did add the Soil and Water suggested under B, it's Houston County Soil Survey, but they thought we should include and Web Soil Survey as well.
I think we should change that 25 to 12. I suggested 10 last time, but I'll go along with 2 acres more.
I think the feedback we got from the people is that there wouldn't ever be an economical situation to do one then, right? So you essentially fully eliminate it, and that's why we were talking 25.
I
That
don't,
was kind
yeah,
of-
I guess I don't quite agree with that statement. I thought it was 25 would be 5 megawatt, roughly. So, I mean, you can always put up a, 2 megawatt or 3 megawatt.
I think that's what I think. I think we asked them and they essentially said it won't ever make economic sense
To
to do
do
it.
even do that small?
That's what I thought we had
That-
talked to them about.
Was kind of my understanding.
Yeah, and that's where the 25 would come from. Because essentially, if you make it lower, you'd eliminate it completely, or pretty close to completely.
Well, if it's 25 acres on marginal ground, I guess I could do that. And I agree with this Soil and Water's suggestion to include the web server.
Yeah. Pretty soon the actual book will probably be non-existent anyway, so that was a good thing to add. And then we had, the last part of that was struck last time, or would be struck because of the prime soils requirement. That's included in there. So moving on to the next page. They had pointed out, they just wanted it to be clear that it was not the property owner, or that the property owner's dwelling did not have to meet the setback requirements there. Do you think that needs a language change of some sort just to make that clear? Or is what we have fine?
That seems fine, right?
Okay. Under density H, this is just a minor change, but it's no large SES shall be allowed within a mile of another large, rather than a, I'm gonna use 1. I think that's
That's fine.
better.
Question for thoughts on that, I guess, for, what's the reason behind that one?
The density,
Yeah,
that was just to avoid having, like, if we say you can't have a 20-acre one, but we don't have a density setback, so they could permit 2 10-acre ones and just put them back to back, just to avoid,
or you could have 5
Piggybacking
landowners
like that.
with separate LLCs or something, they could build 100-acre one instead of, or 125 or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because in theory, without that, right, you could have that, the same individual, different entities,
Getting permits for 25-acre spots.
500-acre
Yeah.
one, because it's different entities every time.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
So it kind of, if you don't have that, you really can't enforce the 25-acre if people,
Do multiples.
yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
The other side of that, though, too, I guess, is, remember they said that once you get out so far from a substation, it's not necessarily feasible anyway, so
That was
you're
more
also
my-
limiting them that what can take place.
That was more my thinking originally, without thinking of that issue of, kind of back to the cell towers, is it better if they're all in one spot instead of like spread out across the county? But I see how you have that other issue of then you could get 500 acres with a different LLC.
Well, and it can always put on the new substation too. You know, we gotta keep in mind with this new Maryville project, transmission line that's being proposed to come through the southern part of the county. They were at our meeting last Tuesday, and I asked the question if they were able to tap off that line or feed into that line, and they said, yes, that could be a possibility, so. I think that's why it's more important than ever to have a cap on this situation, otherwise we're gonna have to be inundated if they wanted to put in a bunch of substations to feed that high voltage line. We could have, solar panels all over the place.
So then moving on to the next page, under, it'd be M. Actually, I.
Vegetative screening?
Yeah. So then under 6 of that, and this is gonna be in a couple other spots later, he mentioned that anywhere Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources was mentioned, we should also probably include NRCS or equivalent, because a lot of their the Bowser rule, they actually use a lot of the NRCS seed mixes and standards, so just include all of those. So that'll come up here later as well. Under O, stormwater and erosion control, rather than approved by the Soil and Water District, he asked that it just say reviewed by the Soil and Water District.
He doesn't want the responsibility of approving it? That's fine.
So that was, if you guys are okay with that one. So then going on to the next page, under Q, double I. I guess just something that he pointed out as a concern was that when you're looking at a project like this with the 25 to 30 year time span, that it's difficult to estimate a cost. Which I don't disagree with that. I guess it's the same thing we run into with other projects too, but it's up to you, I guess, if you want to look at that a little differently. But that was just a point that he raised.
Which one is on there, sorry?
The double I?
Yep, so a decommissioning plan is required and shall outline the anticipated means and cost of removing the system. He was just pointing out that it's it's hard to anticipate that this far out, or that far out.
But it still needs to be looked into, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, at least there's something set aside for it, I don't.
Right, right.
And we are requiring that it's done by a competent third party, so it's not like, I mean, they're gonna put some thought into it.
Right, a competent third party is gonna look into that, so I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay. So same thing, or as before, down under 4 in the agrivoltaics, B, ground cover and vegetation. It references Minnesota Bowser there. So again, add or equivalent habitat-friendly solar standards. Moving on to D then, soil health and stormwater. It reads, conduct pre-construction baseline testing, for organic matter compaction and infiltration, and use vegetative best management practices to ensure no net increase in the runoff. I think his thoughts were that saying there that it's impossible to get no net increase, so that it should alternatively say,
Minimal?
yeah, best management practices to mitigate issues caused by increased runoff, or whatever you guys propose. Minimal. So rather than no net increase, say minimal net increase.
That's what I would use, yeah.
So then moving down into 5 applications. B4 says site plan. The second one references waterways, watercourses, lakes, and public water wetlands. Including in that, he proposed tile inlets and other best management practices, which I think is a good add. Under that same section, oh no, sorry, going to 6 in that in the application section, we do reference, we were asking for a soil capability map. And the second part of that says, and including a calculation of acres of class 1 to 3 soils and percentage of total acres. That was relevant when we were looking at the prime agriculture or prime ag soils. And so when you change it to marginal, I don't feel that that section is relevant anymore, so we can strike that. And I didn't catch that. And then, so down under C in the application section, and the first one there, number 1, agrivoltaic management plan. At the bottom again, it says Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources. So again, we'll add NRCS or equivalent to that. So those were from the SWCD. I didn't receive any other any written comments. So then, or so that's all I have.
Screening, just to confirm, like, reading through that. So is that like, when it says, like, right-of-way, road right-of-ways and stuff like that, would the intention be, if you put it out in the field, like, it'll be screened to the road? Meaning, like, if you're driving down the road, you won't even know it's there? Is that the overall intention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or someone's, or a neighboring property, right?
Or neighboring.
Roads, neighboring properties, all that, you have to essentially screen it, and fences, it says.
I have a couple questions, Amelia. On the large SES, it says, we're talking about marginal ground. Who sets the restrictions in marginal ground in SES? Soil and water sets that restrictions?
That was one of the things, go ahead.
So that's It's based on how we classify it for dwellings, which is class 1 to 3 soils. And that comes from the soil survey or web soil survey.
Two surveys, web soil and county survey.
But I can make that more clear.
And then another question I had is setbacks. It says, it's in the second page. All SES must meet all structural setback requirements for zoning districts in which they are located. Setbacks, to measure the minimum design tilt. But then you get the next one down, it says setback exemption of all solar energy systems and solar structures will be exempted from setbacks.
That
Double standard.
that is just to show that they can seek variances.
They gotta seek the variance.
Yep,
So this is.
that they're allowed to seek one.
They wouldn't be allowed to seek a variance on a setback. Correct?
That they would be.
They would be allowed to seek a variance
Yep.
for a setback. That's what
Yeah,
this-
they're not guaranteed one.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
They would go before the Board of Adjustment to get a variance, just like somebody does with their house or.
Right, yeah.
Anybody else have anything? Any public comments? No, sorry, public comments. Come on up and state your name and the microphone, please.
My name is Clint Bonner. First of all, good evening to all of you.
You want to pull that a little closer?
Is this good?
There you go.
I welcome the determination for the marginal ground as a member of our ag community. Ag land is precious and they don't make any more of it. It is difficult enough to compete with the big time operators in this area. That I personally don't think we should have to compete with commercial solar as well. That being said, I've never had an issue with solar energy, just as occupation of prime ag land. And I thank each and every one of you for your time and dedication in this matter. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening, Sherry Allen. I have a couple of comments. First, I feel that all of you, as well as the commissioners, have an ethical responsibility to create fair and equitable ordinances. And the statement that is under the large SES disallowing prime land doesn't seem fair and equitable. We bought the land. We should be able to make the choice of what we do on our land as landowner rights. And to my understanding, you still give the ability to build houses, building grain bins and barns on prime land. Why can this solar not go on prime land when we still intend to have sheep underneath it and it still would stay agriculture? I'm not seeing the difference. And I feel that specifically having the statement in here, stating that prime land is not allowed, is not fair and equitable to everybody. So it's basically saying, hey, you can do this if you have marginal land, but you can't do it if you have prime land. But the reality is, it's our land. And we should be able to make that choice.
Well, I agree with you on the sheep. If you wanna put sheep on your prime land, you can put sheep on there, llamas, goats, whatever. It's your land. If you wanna graze it, there's nothing in the ordinance that says you can't graze it, because it's your land. I agree with John. You're talking about the sheep now. You wanna put
Right.
sheep there. Well,
Right.
that's your right.
Right, but it's also my right to put a barn or a house on that land, and that doesn't make sense to me that the solar's not allowed, but a barn or a concrete driveway or a house is allowed.
Well, a house and a barn doesn't take up 25 acres either.
It can, do you see these
You
concrete
see, you
driveways?
show me a barn that covers 25 acres.
A yard and everything else is taking row crop land away, no different than solar.
I think we don't wanna turn this into a debate. You're welcome to speak here.
Okay, so I feel like it's not fair and equitable by you specifically writing this to disallow prime agriculture land, which seems very targeted toward this project.
It is not targeted towards your project. This is
It
targeted.
feels very targeted.
No, you may feel that way, but this is targeted to protect the prime farmland in Houston County.
But it's
Period.
our land,
Period.
it's our land.
Yep, I get it.
Do we have any other public yet?
Mark Linsky, Union Township is what it's, how I got started into this here, I guess, anyway, so. I got one question on this Houston County Soil Survey or the Web Soil Survey. Where can I find that? I looked for that, could not find it, to identify prime ag soils.
The Houston County Soil Survey is a book. It is available online, but I'd have to look at where
I've
I got
one
it
at home
from.
in my office. It's a real thick book.
Yeah,
It's been
it's like
around-
that big.
It's been around for years.
I got 5 and it ain't worth getting.
They're all
And
taped together.
If it's online someplace?
Web soil survey.
The Web Soil Survey is, and
Yep.
is, if you Google, it's NRCS, right, that does that one?
You can, I believe, type in web soil survey as well.
Yeah.
I looked up under Houston County, I looked under NRCS, I looked under Soil and Water.
Well, the Web Soil Survey would be a national database.
Oh.
So if you're searching specifically for like the county or something, that's probably what's throwing it off. So if you just Google Web Soil Survey, it'll take you to the main site, and then you whittle it down for there by address or
Okay,
whatever.
all right, okay. And in my opinion, yeah, egg ground is okay, but this country's got more corn and beans that we know what to do with, and we need electricity. In my opinion, I would like to see more than the 25 acre maximum. I would like to see 40 acres. And as far as the prime egg ground, I don't know, I'm kinda up in the air on that. Still being that this country does not need any more corn or beans, conventional corn or beans. Okay, so I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yeah.
Andy Allen. Thank you again for letting us speak. Thank you for all your service you're helping us with. I can understand both sides, but I will stand firm on when a person purchases an acre of land or 10 acres or 100 acres of land, that person buys that land in a heartfelt way, knowing that they're gonna do the best they can do as a steward of that land. And I've sat through these meetings, and everybody has an opinion, and I've seen respectful things and I've seen disrespectful things. I'm looking for each and every one of you to sit back and think to yourself, put yourself in our shoes. You know, we're not here not trying to upset neighbors, we're not trying to upset communities. The opportunity came to us to give this community an opportunity, okay? There's gonna be a time where we're gonna look at each other and go, did we make the right decision? Could be next year, could be 5 years. I wish, unfortunately, this meeting was put together in such a short notice that the folks from MI Energy and then the solar company were not allowed to be here this evening. Okay, otherwise they would have probably had some things to say as well. All I can say is Sherry and I and our boys love to farm. We have our hearts in it, no different than most of you are tied to some sort of farming background or you farm. I just want you to understand, there's gonna be a farmer this year that looked at his crops and said, oh my God, how am I gonna make next year work? Then there's gonna be those years where that farmer is gonna do very well. $7 corn, the drought didn't affect him. He's able to go out, pay off some debt, buy some equipment. The opportunity for us to have an opportunity with the solar company and MI Energy does give us a slight financial advantage. Slight. It means instead of getting $4 corn on that ground, we might get $5.50. At the end of the day, who is it to say that they should stand in front of a person, a landowner, and say you cannot better yourself? And that's where I struggle. I understand. Some people say, well, it doesn't look that good. I can probably do a survey in the community and ask, what do you think about a 25-acre solar farm with 150 sheep? I guarantee you there's going to be more traffic on that road coming to look at the sheep than there are now. Maybe that's good, maybe that's not. But sometimes we have to look at the other options and we have to look at the benefit. If we have this solar farm in our community, they've all said, if there is a crisis of electricity, that solar farm will help us, not hurt us. It's not going to all get shipped right down to Chicago. It will be here. It will also benefit our community. I have nothing else to say. I wish things were more respectful, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I have a question. So, if a landowner in this type of scenario wanted to build a house and turn it into a nice yard, and they farm currently, could they do that today?
Yeah, we don't stipulate that they only take so many acres out of production.
On prime ag land, they could do that today.
If they own 40 plus acres, yep.
Could they, the day after they get done building that house, put that house up for sale?
Yeah,
Could a non-farmer build on prime ag land?
If he has 40 acres.
If he has the 40, not, could a farmer do it on, we're talking 25 here, could a farmer do it on 25?
Have to have a conditional use permit.
yeah, it's based on the size of the lot, and then yes,
Like
if
one
they
quarter,
if they
have
yeah
some.
1 per quarter of course. If they don't have, if they only had 40 or 25 acres, they would have to build on marginal ground.
You know, I get the comparisons we're trying to make here. I agree with what Franklin was saying, in a house or a barn on prime ag land, that's a small footprint. Solar is a larger footprint. And I get what Mr. Klinsky was saying too about got enough corn and beans. But you know what? You look at the stats nationwide, how much prime farmland gets lost every year to urban sprawl development, it's staggering. And it's gonna get to the point, we're gonna be wishing we hadn't done some of this stuff. Now, I sympathize with Allen's, with their position here, of trying to get their little project going. I get that, but if you add in all of the projects, like yours, the large projects, you read it in the paper, all these large ones put in on prime land to produce electricity that's inefficient. You know, it kind of scares the guy. That's where I'm coming from. This is what I'm feeling. Someday we're gonna wish we had that farmland back. Producing, whether it's pasture for cattle or row crop farming or whatever. So, I'm just trying to protect prime farmland, our little Houston County here. That's where I'm coming from. So, that's my spiel, so.
Just had on the news, it was on Rochester News, and don't quote me 100%, I could have been wrong, but I thought it was 250,000 acres we've lost to urban sprawl. And we're living longer, our population is getting bigger and bigger, and if that continues, I was told 40 years ago, I think it's 40 years ago now, when they closed the railroad bed from Polka to Houston. I was at a meeting and the gentleman said, I laughed, the gentleman said, you'll see today that there'll be a house from alongside this highway from Houston to Polka, and I just thought he was blowing smoke, but people gotta live someplace, you know,
And people gotta eat. We need to provide food and fiber and fuel for this country, and the fact that we could be one drought away from not having enough. We're in oversupply right now, but that can change in 1 year. So, I mean, I respect everybody's opinion on this. This is not a personal issue of mine, so I get it.
As far as the world population, though, in 5 years is supposed to start declining, is what I heard.
what's the
The
reason?
birth rate of the developed nations is under maintenance rate right now, and it's supposed to start declining.
Projected
so, maybe
supposed to,
not.
But, you know, that's a different subject altogether. We don't wanna get down
I'm
that
talking
road.
about your food situation, so.
We don't wanna
There
get
you
down
go.
that road, but, you know,
There, I mean,
yeah, everybody's got their own philosophy and.
Yep.
So, Amelia, this is the first page here, the proposed amendment, that's what would have to be done first before we enact any ordinance, correct?
Yes,
We'd have to amend the comprehensive land use plan.
yes, I was gonna propose that, or like the motion would be recommend, adopt the proposed ordinance to regulate commercial solar and the comp plan with the edits tonight, and the amendments to the comp plan with the edits tonight. Because, yeah, the ordinance wouldn't work without the comp plan amendment.
I think, kind of understand it both ways, right? You gotta obviously have food to feed people, is a key factor in the country, but I think if you look at history, when the government thinks they're smarter than the individual and what's best for that individual, their property and their family, is when the worst things in history have happened, right? When the government starts saying, you own that, but I know better than you how it should be used. That's when the very worst things have ever happened in history. Now, is that Houston County here? No,
No.
right? I'm not trying to say that. But that's where I think my struggle is today it's, we don't want solar. Tomorrow, there's a different group up here, a different group of commissioners, and guess what? You know, cattle emit too much CO2. We don't want those on.
Well,
in
we're
the county.
already having that debate with
Right.
feedlots. So,
And
I mean, yeah.
I'm not that guy,
Yeah,
trust me.
Yeah.
But my point being is, you start, it's a slippery slope to go down, because you start giving the government the power to regulate those things on people's individual freedom and their rights. Sooner or later, you're not the one in power, and that's what you gotta remember, is sooner or later, the stick you use on somebody is gonna get used on you. So is it better to keep that stick out of essentially the government and leave it up to the individual to decide what's best for them and their family and their property? Or is it better to take those rights away and say, I know what's better? Me as the government knows what's better for your property than you do as the owner.
And
That's my struggle.
And that's a good argument that you make.
Yep.
That should have been done years ago, when they put in the land use model.
Boy,
Yep, because I've been to these meetings for a training for a planning commission and as a county commissioner on land use. Put on by Jay Squires and his law firm that pointed out that county governments, state governments, federal governments, local governments have police powers on land use. And they have deference. I don't like hearing that shit, I don't. But that's where we're at today. So we're at, we're in that state of police power, deference. We have deference to regulate land use, and it's been happening for a long time. And I get the slippery slope, I get all that. But here, this ordinance here looks like to me a compromise where we're gonna allow solar on marginal ground and protect our prime farmland. We try to protect a lot of things, we protect water, protect, scenic view, all that. So I feel that this ordinance is a fair compromise.
We have lots of zoning ordinances in the county that I don't agree with.
Yep.
And I can't do the things that I would like to do because the zoning ordinance says I can't do it. Now, if I want something different, and this is no disrespect to you folks at all, just a statement, if I had some entity that I could come up with that would really fit my operation, then I would expect that the planning commission and the commissioners to change the comprehensive land use plan so that it would benefit me personally. And there's no disrespect now, I don't take this the wrong way, it's just a broad statement.
Well, that's a good point, because we did develop a comprehensive land use plan, and we took public input on that, did surveys for it, and that's why it wasn't even in here, because, people didn't want to see solar all over, they didn't want to see a lot of things. So, that's a good point, and that's why it was not included, but if we're going to allow commercial solar on marginal ground, and we'll amend the land use plan to do it, this is one way of a compromise ordinance. Chair?
Sorry.
Does a large solar system need to be near a, what do you call those?
Substation?
Can you come up and speak?
Yeah.
Oh,
Say your name in the microphone, please.
okay. Yvonne Krogstad, does a large solar system need to be near a substation to be useful? If that is true, are there any substations near marginal cropland?
They can build them. They'll build them if it's feasible. They'll build a substation.
Okay.
I think that is a good point though, because that was one of the questions I had for the folks last time. And I think my energy's kind of retort to that was, we don't build substations except on flat ground, which is typically gonna be prime ag land, right? So, in a way, like, in a lot of ways, this essentially, I get the compromise piece. it's compromise in theory. In reality of application, it's probably expulsion of any solar, large solar in the county, which maybe that's the path we wanna go, not
Well,
saying.
Not necessarily. There's always a possibility if they were to build a substation near a marginal piece of ground that would work.
It could, yeah.
Yep, especially with the new transmission line coming through, they could do that.
And,
It's not very likely today.
Right, go down the road.
Yep.
but there's quite a difference between what a lot of people think about prime ag land. They think it's dead level land. That is not true. You can have a very minimal slope, and Amelia will attest to that because one of our sons was gonna buy 40 acres from me and build a house. And the land is not steep by no means, it's just a gentle grade. The soil survey says up to this point, it's prime ag land. This point, it's marginal land. Well, I can grow just as good at crops on that marginal land as I can on the prime land. So we're not talking, like my bluffs down there, straight up and down, that you get a short leg walking on one side. That's not what we're talking about here.
We're talking marginal soil types.
That's right. That's what we're talking.
I guess let me ask you this too. That is an area that I think we need to look at our ordinance as far as how we classify those. It might be a little outdated. So in reference, like this will match the dwelling standard. That might be something that kind of gets changed indirectly in the future too, if we do classify soils differently or determine to classify them differently for non-farm dwellings. So
When I was told you can't get these soil classifications changed, because I got a sand knoll, it's pure sand. They got it as marginal, as a prime ag land, and I kid you not, it's all sand. You can't get it changed. How do I get it changed? See, we can't change it.
oh yeah, as far as I understand, like they're not going to change the soil survey at all. But some counties will use other like CER ratings versus how we look at it. So we might look at use a different rating system.
They do that for the assessor's office, right? Appraisals,
I think so, yeah.
appraisers use a different.
And I don't know how they compare. Maybe it basically will turn or give the same result, but that's something we might look at doing, I guess, for non-farm dwellings. So it might inadvertently affect this then too.
Yeah, I think like that comment right there kind of hits home on why this is a slippery slope, right? Because if I can't petition that my property be changed when it's not prime, and is the federal government the one that does the web soil survey? The federal government tells me it's prime and we know it's not. There should be some recourse there, right? Like, if someone says, I want to build this on this land, and it says this is prime, but we know it's not prime, there should be some level of recourse to challenge that. It sounds like today there's not recourse to challenge that.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, I don't know on your guys' end how that works. I suppose to refute or
If you go
to
the
concur
FSA
with that.
office and try to argue that, I mean, it's a waste of time.
Like floodplain's the same thing, comes
Yep.
down from the federal
Yep.
government, wetlands is, but I guess to also, or probably prove your point, you can do a delineation and look at that. FEMA, you can file paperwork to try to change things, but yeah, soils, I don't know that there is a mechanism for that.
Is there a way to like do a county level assessment of that, right? Because any of that, you petition the federal government, you're gonna hear in 5 years anyway.
Yeah,
It's not
if you're
gonna
lucky.
matter, but, like, in that scenario, right, let's say we're trying to build a house on that land, we know it's not valuable. Or we're trying to do solar on it, we know it's not valuable, it's not prime land, it's not what the intention here to protect is, but you can't petition us or whoever to make that change. That doesn't seem overall fair. Now, that's probably a bigger picture than just this specific thing. But
So where do we move on from here? Do we adopt this here?
Well, I think
Propose,
Amelia's looking for a recommendation from this board.
Yeah, I've just been looking for input the last meeting or a few meetings, but tonight we should move forward, so I'm looking for a recommendation from you guys, to, let's see, I had language here, to, unless we have other changes, but recommend adoption of the proposed ordinance with edits, and amending the comp plan as proposed in your packet here.
Can I ask one more question too?
Yeah.
Just popped in my head like reading having this. Does this also cover, if someone, like, do we already have a wind farm?
Yeah, we actually have an ordinance for that. So the ordinance part of it wouldn't, I guess it would fall under alternative energies though.
That's
So
what I
that
thought,
part,
it's
yes.
alternative energy piece.
I guess my thought with that also is, battery storage, data center, all that stuff is coming up now. We would still need an ordinance to look at those, so I'm not, like, we're not talking any of that, but any of those alternative energies would be
So if
included in that.
a proposal comes down the road for a solar and then battery storage, we'd have to look at that again? We'd have to look at
No, then we wouldn't have to do anything with the comp plan.
Right, but we would have to do an ordinance.
An ordinance, yes. Right now, they're not mentioned in the ordinance, so they would be prohibited.
Anybody have anything else? So you're looking for a motion to adopt or deny this?
To recommend adoption, or I guess, or denial, whatever you guys would like.
Oh, we're looking for a motion.
With
Yep.
edits, with the
With-
edits. that-
with the edits
with
discussed
edits that
tonight.
Amelia brought forward, yep.
Well, do we have a motion to adopt this?
I make a motion that we adopt this amendment, if you call it amendment, what do you wanna call it? Well, comprehensive land use change, is that would be the right word? With the corrections that we put in it this evening, the changes, or corrections,
Edits in the ordinance.
yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Are we roll call on this one, I take it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys could also provide comment, it'd be appreciated. John?
Yes. I'm just, I guess I'm voting yes just because I think we're opening a can of worms if we permit use of prime egg land for this, then we eliminate the rules against building houses all over it. It just continues to roll.
Josh?
I'm gonna go no, not for or against solar, but, would rather err on the side of, the individual doing what's best for their property and their family, so I think, leaving the more control at the individual family level, the better, and this kinda goes the opposite direction.
Franklin?
Yes, the reason is that we're not shutting solar off. We're allowing it on marginal land. I was proposing, my proposal was 10 acres, I went along with 25 acres because of the megawatts. So I think we're doing a very good justable cause for the county here, or reason to change the comprehensive land use plan for ordinance for the solars.
Eric?
Yes, I think it's a good compromise to allow solar in Houston County for marginal lands. Also, would it be adhering to the comprehensive land use plan where our number one goal and policy in that is to protect prime farmland and agriculture
Chase?
Yes, and I agree with the comp plan, protecting ag and focusing the spending towards ag.
Wayne?
I like his idea. Putting sheep on it would have been a good idea. And if we don't let anybody do that, it's, it just, doesn't make any sense.
He can
I
say.
think everybody's afraid of companies coming in and buying up the land and putting solar in all over. But I don't think that'll happen, you know. I don't want, how much do sheep cost down?
What's your answer?
Yeah.
He's gotta have a yes or no first.
Yeah. But it didn't make any sense. He owns the land, and he's gonna give it to his children more than likely.
But this, Wayne, let me just remind you, this is not about their project. This is about a county ordinance for the whole county here.
Yeah,
That's how you gotta look at it. That's my opinion.
yeah, that's right. Well, I'm just gonna pass.
Abstain?
Yeah.
Okay. Larry?
I vote yes. My reasoning is, if we don't have some rules, it's gonna be complete failure. There's just gonna be a terrible, terrible turnaround if we don't have rules. We got rules for housing, we got rules for sheds, setbacks from the creek, wetlands. We gotta have rules. We've always talked about protecting our prime ag land in the county, and I think we gotta stick with it. You and I have talked about selling land to my son for a house, prime ag land. It's got to be 40 acres. That's one of the rules we gotta have. It makes it tough for our children to buy land at the prices there are now and to build a house that they are now. But I grew up with rules when I built my house, and I abided by them. Any structure I put up, I abided by the rules of the county. So I think we gotta keep having our rules. That's why I'm voting yes.
Okay. So that was 5 yes, 1 no, 1 abstained. So that, just,
Motion is carried.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry. Motion carried.
yes.
Nothing else before the board, correct?
Nope. So this will go to the Board of Commissioners on the 2nd for a final action or additional input anyway.
2nd of December.
Yep.
Do we have a meeting in December?
You guys,
Planning
yes, you do.
commission.
You just have one, I think, that will come in, or that's,
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
all right. So you guys, Larry, Wayne, John, you guys, your guys' terms are up, and so this year,